So, our topic today is mental health, and it's such a broad topic. And I got some individuals contacting me, reaching out and saying, what specifically are we talking about? Mental illnesses, addictions. And I started thinking, like, well, that's an option. We definitely can discuss that. The other thing I was considering and talking about a little bit as well, or including in our conversations, is ways to improve our mental health. So, the floor is open. Like I said, we can, share experiences, share resources, things of that nature. But I want to just go ahead and get started, and then you guys can chime in. I have some individuals that were not able to join us today, but they definitely sent me some information to share. So I thought that was very, very interesting that they're like, I'm not going to be there, but I want you to share this. So I'm definitely going to take care of that. So, beginning with mental health, I wanted to share a little bit of my experience. And, being in health and wellness for, all of my life, I felt as though, it's great. Mental health goes along with physical health, emotional health. And I really felt I had a good grasp of having a well balanced lifestyle in that respect. Now, when I was involved in a car accident about 20 years ago, and I was living in Fort Worth at that time. I was in my early 30s, and well, maybe that the numbers don't jive right. I was in my early 30s, and my life got turned upside down, around in every which way, emotionally, financially, physically, professionally. And that was my first experience with mental health in terms of the mental strength that I was going to need to get through that situation. And because I really never needed that level of mental strength and capacity in my life. Um, you know, Pretty well managed up until that time. And so I struggled. I struggled. And not just physically, but emotionally. And so, I discussed my struggles with my parents, my family, and I saw a physician, and my physician suggested, I can't even remember what it was, but basically it was an antidepressant. They felt as though, okay, I was getting depressed, and I felt like, I was taken away from all the things I love to do. Work, I couldn't work out because of my, the time, how I was with my back situation. So different factors. And so I started the medication, and I think maybe at max 2 weeks. And I was open minded going into it. I'm going to be honest. I was open minded because I wanted to feel better. I just didn't feel myself, and I felt like I needed something. And so I started the medication, and I took it, and I just didn't like the feeling that I personally felt with it. And so I decided, discussing with the physician, and then eventually came off of the medication. So, how did I get through it? How did I push through? I tried the medication. For me personally, didn't work, but I know it is successful for other individuals. What I did at that time is I really dug deep into my faith, my religion. And that's always been a part of my life, but kind of like down here, was there definitely for sure, but I didn't really grasp onto it daily. And I really did. I started to pray. I did go to church during this whole time. I did go to church for sure. That was a part of my routine. But I was learning that even though I was there physically, mentally, and all the other days of the week, I wasn't quite practicing what my faith was showing me, teaching me. And so, with all of that being said, it was my faith daily practicing it. Either it was prayer, or it was a meditation, or it was connecting with someone in my family that was strong in their faith, that reassured me, encouraged me. Making those connections was super important. And not just for me going to church on the day that I was supposed to, but soon after that, I started going a little bit more and really tuning in to what was going on and how I could receive the message that was being sent. And it made a difference. It made a huge difference in my life. And that was what really helped me get through the mental, the physical, the emotional turmoil that I was in at that time. And so that was one experience that I had where my mental health was very much so challenged, and how I was able to get through it. I tried different things, like I said, but ultimately that belief, my faith, and my religion was what ultimately helped me get through that process in my life. So, with that being said, like I said, we don't have to share our own personal experiences. Definitely, I encourage you to share what you feel comfortable with sharing, and we'll go from there. We'll just let it fly. All right, guys, anyone want to chime in? Okay, that's fine. What I'm going to do right now is Nancy Jones usually joins our group, and she wasn't able to today. So she sent me a message that she wanted me to share with the group. And what she said was, I've thought a lot about mental health this week. I think I'm healthy mentally. I read and I listen, and especially during the pandemic, I know mental health was a big deal for a lot of individuals. She says one thing they say over and over is having a schedule, like every day getting up, exercising, showering, getting dressed, rather than sitting around in your PJs all day. She says, I already do all of that. She goes, within my daily routines, there are other things I do. My daily exercises is a pattern which is calming. Exercising with me is a pattern, as well, but I switch things up so her mind has to stay focused on the exercises or activities, which she read is very good. She goes, another thing I do is a breath prayer. She goes, I do these when I'm walking, when I'm getting ready to fall asleep, at stressful times, like being in the dentist chair. She says, here are some of the breathing exercises and I'm going to share that with you. She says, you breathe slowly in and out, and you choose one of these particular mantras, and you breathe in and you breathe out just with the mantra. And so, just to share one of them, let me see, because she shared three of them. One of them is the first part, you breathe in, it's be still and know, and as you breathe out, that I am God. So it's a breathe in, be still and know, breathe out, that I am God. So another one that is similar, you breathe in, I am, breathe out, at peace. She says she uses that one when she's fallen asleep. And these don't have to be, let me finish what she says. She goes, saying these or other positive affirmations help us to stay healthy mentally. These are a few of the things that she does, and she definitely want me to share with the group. So, and I know those particular ones were religious based, and my intention is not to force it on anyone, but just to share. You can say anything you want to and still have that same breathing pattern. It's a form of working with the mind and the body and creating a relaxation, a peacefulness, a content. Any feedback on that, anyone?
I like the breath prayer. I've done that during ACT retreats and faith formation groups. I like that a lot, and I forgot about it. So thanks to Nancy for that one. And I never think about my mental health because it's extremely sound, but I'm surrounded by people who struggle. My husband, my stepdaughter, and my two adopted daughters all have psychiatric diagnoses and are all on medication. And so I'm surrounded by psychiatric help for 40 years. And my family of origin never encountered anything, not depression, anxiety, nobody ever had anything. So, that was kind of new. And so as I've gone to therapy appointments with my various family members, and they always ask me, how do you stay so calm and sound and sane? Because they know what goes on with all my members of my family. And so part of it is exercise, and part of it was talked about an attitude of gratitude or journal. I like that. I seek joy all the time. And somehow I surround myself with good people. And so the family members I can't get rid of. So I'm stuck with all of them. And so all the rest of the people are joyful and not negative, because we are stuck with some of our people. And so I did learn how to say no. And I remember one time I was overwhelmed and I forgot to take my daughter to camp. And it was a day camp. It was going to last a week. And I had just joined a ACT team. And I got a lot of feedback and positive affirmation from being on ACT teams, just with women. And I had to call and say, I can't be on the team. I can't even take care of my family. And so I adjusted, and I said no. So, because I had too many things. Tommy had just had surgery again, so I had too many things. And so I try to sleep well. Of course, nourishment, nutrition, it's the same stuff. It's take care of yourself all the way around and do something that I love. And so it used to be line dancing every day. And so now I really like the exercise programs that I've gotten into. And so besides doing something to love, also loving people, because it makes it much easier to overlook their little problems and shortcomings. Of course, I have my own shortcomings, but if you love, it just makes everything easier.
Cindy, let me ask you this. Was it hard to say no?
Yes. Oh, I cried and cried and cried. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I remember that one, but then I sort of learned to, like, they would ask, my daughter's school, can you run this? Can you be in charge of that? And I would just learn to say, well, I'm already in charge of this thing. And perhaps, and I always had somebody to suggest, I think so-and-so really needs to get involved. And so I would like delegate in advance, even though it wasn't my duty. So I'm always using my brain a lot too. I read a lot and I think a lot, and I'm always ready for whatever comes my way.
Now, I know you pray. Did you mention the meditations?
I didn't, but I wrote down some. I like that breath prayer, and you
Okay.
said the word meditation about practicing. And so I haven't done that lately. I've been sleeping so well, I haven't used any meditation apps. But guess what? I could meditate during the day. What a novel idea. I could do it. So I wrote that down.
Okay. All right. We're going to get into that meditation a little bit more. Thank you. Thank you. That's a big one, Cindy. Saying no to obligations, definitely with the family. I mean, of course, you feel obligated, like, it's a parent, a brother, sister, a daughter, grandkid, for sure. And the guilt that comes along, like, yeah, I need to, I should be able to. On my end, in terms of a business, and saying no is challenging. You feel like, oh, should I say no? What, and it's a uncomfortable feeling at times. But you said something really good in terms of when you have the capability to love yourself, you start understanding what your boundaries are, because you start not feeling like yourself when you're being stretched and overwhelmed, and that should feel very uncomfortable. And that's what alerted me, like, this isn't me. I need to figure out what's happening here so I can make adjustments and get back. And saying no, declining, very uncomfortable at first, but I will say, when you do it, it gets a little easier as time goes on. You realize it's not the end of the world. Life still goes on, people still move on.
And she can do it without you. That was the big thing. What? They did a great job without me. Are you kidding?
What?
I know. Oh, and
Great point.
I also tried an antidepressant once. My father died 22 years ago. I thought I was going crazy. So I went to my husband's psychiatrist. I was like talking to my father all the time, and I run the family business that my father started. So I had to go to the office where my daddy was always with me, and I would be at his desk, and I would see his handwriting on files. So and then of course helping my mother and my siblings, so I never got away from it. And I tried it for maybe 2 weeks also, and I thought, this isn't for me. And yeah. So I tried, but so I was open to it.
Yeah. Good. Thanks for sharing that, Cindy. Anyone else want to pop in, share any information, experiences? Go for it, Charlene. Hold on. We're going to make sure you unmuted, Charlene.
There we go.
Can
you hear me now?
Yes.
So one of the things probably was the most memorable for me
in mental health is after my mother died,
Mhm.
and everybody that's experienced it, it's not fun. And my husband was like, you just need to get away and just relax. And so he found me this woman's retreat in Bali that he sent me to.
Wow.
And it was probably one of the most memorable experiences I've had in my entire life. And honestly, my biggest takeaway from that was that you have to love yourself first.
Mhm.
You have to put yourself first. You have to take care of yourself. You have to do, because if you don't do that, then you can't help anyone else.
Mhm.
And we
Mhm.
did a lot of meditation. I actually had a healer who told me a mantra, and I've done it every single day since then. You get up every morning, you do a big stretch, and you tell yourself you love yourself, you appreciate yourself, you accept yourself, you are where you stand, and it's going to be a great day. And I also add that I'm going to live to be over 93 years old, because that's what he told me. He said, you're going to live to be over 93. That was an amazing experience too, going to this healer. The stuff he told me was mind blowing.
Oh,
But my
wow.
biggest takeaway was, in the retreat where we had lots of meditation time. We did yoga. We had massages. They did all your meals. They did everything for you, but it gave you a lot of time. You were all by yourself. You didn't go with friends or family. It was just you. And that was scary alone, going to Bali for the first time by myself,
Wow.
being in a place by myself with no one. And that
Mhm.
also, I think, made a big impact, that I didn't have someone that I could go talk to. I had to rely on me and listen to others. And probably the biggest groundbreaking thing for me in my life was that.
Wow, Charlene. Now, when your husband suggested that, were you right away like, yeah, it's a great idea?
I,
Were you,
yeah, no, I really thought I thought it was a great idea. I was so grateful.
do you felt like you were at a place where you needed
I
some help?
needed that. Yeah,
Got it.
I needed to be able to focus on me.
Yeah. Great point. Amazing. Just like Cindy had shared, thank you, Charlene, is that in order to love ourselves, we have to value ourselves. I mean, if not, then, we attach love to value, that person, something. And when we don't have that value on ourselves, then we start looking elsewhere, outward, and it becomes very challenging to figure out where the help really is needed, should I say, and that's within ourselves. Now, here's the thing: is that some individuals, unfortunately, for whatever the reasons, um, don't like to ask for help. And there's emotions or feelings along with asking for help, that someone's weak, that someone doesn't have the capability to to manage themselves. I mean, they're not very positive thoughts or feelings. And so I think it's awesome when we as individuals, we as women, can be like, you know what, I need help. It's okay. I'm vulnerable. I need help. A spouse, a friend, somebody recognizing that, hey, you know what? I see that you're being challenged. I see that you may, require some support. I don't know how to do that, but I can, like your husband did, Charlene. This is what I can suggest or recommend for you. And then on top of that, to be open, because a lot of times I know we've probably been in situations where we see individuals that need some help, possibly professional help, that can't come from us, but they're not open to that. And, therein, I know that happens a lot, where there's, you as individuals trying to help is tough. It's tough being in that position. But for ourselves, we can be the ones that, hey, you know what? I realize when I do need help, I can ask for help. And I think some of that comes with maturity. As we get older, we start getting wiser, hopefully, for the most part. And, as a result, we can live more full lives. And that's one of my things that I want to do. I want to live a full life. And in order to do so, I need to be open, open minded. And I need to ask questions, and I need to ask for help when I feel like I need help. So, Charlene, that's excellent that you have somebody that was looking out for you. And on top of that, you being open to do that, because that's a big deal. Going to another country you've never been. How long were you there, Charlene?
A week.
A week. Wow. Wow. Does that same retreat still exist?
Yeah, it's called Goddess Retreats.
Goddess retreats. Okay.
Wow.
And they have one in Bali, and then they have one in Udon. I went to the one in Bali. The Udon one wasn't open when I went, but I'm telling you what, I would recommend it it will be the best week of your life.
Wow. And you're by yourself with,
By my-
with not one family member. That's a big
That is
statement.
the key, is to go by yourself.
Yeah.
In fact, they only allow you, if you go there, you can only know one person. So if you do go, you can only take one person, they don't allow you to bring like a group of friends. Everybody's an individual. I think there were 15 women. Out of the 15 women, only 2 knew each other, and they came from Portugal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, there were people from all over the world. That's what was so crazy. I mean, there
Wow.
was people from the United States, from Portugal, from Australia, from New Zealand, all over the world. It was so amazing.
Wow. What year did you go, Charlene? How long ago?
I went, it will be 4 years in April. So I went like 3.5 years ago.
Okay. Excellent. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Anyone else like to share? Any input? Any feedback? Go for it, June. Oop, unmute. Let me get.
Sorry, there I am. Charlene, I just wanted to ask you what your mantra was. It's love yourself, appreciate yourself.
You say, I love and appreciate myself. I
Okay.
love and accept myself. I love and approve myself. I am where I stand.
I'll have to go back and watch the video. I hate to
The
get
recording.
Yeah, the
If
recording.
you send me your email, I'll email it to you.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you what, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just gave me chills. I mean, that's a strong statement. That's a strong statement, Charlene. So once again, thank you for sharing that. With the meditation, now, if anyone knows the difference between a meditation and a mantra, anybody, can you differentiate for me? Is there a difference? Cindy, go for it.
I've used positive affirmation before, and that's what I think the mantra is, and just saying something. And then it makes you believe it because you're saying it. And a meditation, I've gone into different meditative states through different methods, some of them religious, like Lectio Divina, reading scripture, and some just real calming phrases. And the meditation is, for me, to calm me down. I would practice it to settle myself for sleep, usually. But also, I think you could do it like during the day, that I've never done, to open yourself up to other ideas, like to free your mind, to clear all that clutter, all that stuff.
Yes. Thank you, Cindy. My husband and I both practice meditation. About 7 years ago or so, he introduced me to meditation, and we did some research, and we got into transcendental meditation, and that's known as TM meditation. It's a form of meditation. It's not the end all be all. It's just a type of meditation. And a tinge similar to what Charlene said is we met with someone, and independently we're given a mantra, and we work with that mantra for every day. And with the TM meditation, it's practiced 20-minute sessions a day, usually in the morning 20 minutes and in the evening 20 minutes. And similar to what Cindy said, especially the one during the day, that for me, and I know he showed the same thing for him, it's kind of like, even though you're not sleeping, it's like a little nap. It's like a time for your brain to kind of shut down and rest, kind of recover, rejuvenate, and then boom, when you get up, you feel like refreshed. And it does open your mind up to, just creativity, productivity. You just feel like, okay, let's do this. And in the evening, it doesn't have quite the same impact, at least for us. It's a little bit more, like Cindy said, going back, is a little bit more calming, and it just allows that brain to kind of relax, and then of course go to sleep and stay asleep. So it's as far as the meditation goes, we do practice. I have practiced the TM meditation, and that for me, because we'll to go back to the mental health, is stress. You know, stress impacts our mental health, how we handle stress, and we all have different forms of stress. And whether it's the pandemic, whether it's finances, if it's medical situations, family members, there's all types of stress that we encounter daily. And so how we manage that stress is key, and that comes into our mental health. So that was one of the reasons we got into the TM meditation and practice, was to manage that stress. And initially for me, practicing that meditation for 20 minutes, very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Not just physically, but mentally. I just felt like, I couldn't stay still. But like with everything, you practice, and you practice, and the brain eventually starts recognizing what you're wanting to have happen. You start relaxing as well, and it becomes more effective. But it did take some time to get that sense of feeling of just calmness and relaxation. And it's not intended, the meditation not intended to put you to sleep. It's not. It's intended, as Cindy said, and as Charlene shared, to provide you with good energy, not necessarily to go out there and do all kinds of things, but just a good feeling of confidence and energy and strength. So meditation, go for it, June.
I just wanted to ask, would you recommend like a small amount of time of meditation to build up to 20, or start off with the 20 right away?
Oh, I would definitely say start with a short period of time.
Uh,
And everybody is different. So, I would say maybe 3 minutes, then maybe work up to 5 minutes, and just daily. And it might feel uncomfortable at first, and you might feel like nothing's happening. That's what I felt at first. Nothing's happening here. But, until you release, that's what until you release, because I think some of our personalities, and mine is very, I want to be in control of as much as I can. And meditation is not, doesn't fit in that. You have to release. There's nothing to control in meditation. The whole point is to release and just allow yourself to be. And I had to learn how to do that. I really did. And having the personality that I have, it took me time, and it still does. It's still not, oh yeah, meditation, it's a practice, but I enjoy it because I feel the benefits overall that it provides for me in managing stressful situations. So that's why, I practice it. Any other thoughts or feedback on that meditation or stress or ways to manage? Go for it, Marianne. Unmute.
Yep, I got it, I think. For me, anytime I've had to deal with stress at work or at home, anything, my go-to is food. And so the more stressed I am, the more I would eat, and a bowl of pasta would make me feel better, or rice or something along those lines. And then what I would find is that my weight was out of control because I wasn't doing anything to balance or counterbalance all the food that I was taking in to help reduce all the stress, which made me feel worse, which then increased my stress and my disappointment in myself because I wasn't looking as good as I felt I should or I could. And then I would hit a point where I'd say, okay, I can't do this anymore. That's happened several times. I did it in my 40s and I lost weight. And then toward the end of my 50s, I started gaining back weight. And then my mother and aunt intervened and told me I needed to go to this 1 o'clock exercise class at the resort. And I met this woman named Susie who started me exercising. And then I started doing research, and I actually went to, it was called Dr. Rogers Weight Loss Clinics, and she had a program, which I actually still follow to the most part, And I started working on that and started losing weight and started feeling better. And then I started setting goals for myself, and it was wonderful because I started running. Susie helped me with that. And I was able to achieve a goal and lose a lot of weight. At the beginning of this year, once again, when COVID first started becoming a thing around, you were hearing about it in January and February, and then March, all of a sudden things started changing, and then there was the closing down and isolation. And again, the being in lockdown and the stress of that, I started turning toward eating again. And we were hitting all the food trucks. We were making all kinds of stuff at home and eating it because, again, the stress and the depression of being isolated was doing that. And then at some point I thought, you know what? I kept thinking, oh, it's March. By April, it'll be over. Oh, it's April. By the end of May, for sure, it'll be all done. June at the latest. And it kept going and going. And I finally said, you know what? I can't continue waiting for this to be over and feel non-stressed. So I guess I need to put on my big girl panties and get out there and start doing stuff. So I started doing the exercising, and I'm was running before the summer. I kind of started, and then it kind of hiccuped with things that are going on right now. But I want to do for the winter time, get back to a little bit of running because it helps me clear my head, and I listen to my music and I just kind of zone out, and you know, and it just makes me feel better. And we're still working on the eating right and watching what we do and stuff like that. You know, we splurge over the holidays and then you kind of get back on track. But it's just been a process, and having to live with somewhat isolation and not being able to do my stress release and my calming and all is to travel, especially on a cruise. Well, that ain't happening anytime soon. And it just, every time you look at the cruises, they're, you know, now they're canceled through the end of March, and before you know it, they'll be canceled through the end of May, and who knows. But anyway, it's just makes it hard when you're confined and limited in what you can do, and you can't move about the country because you can't go certain places, and you certainly can't get overseas. So, you know, it's just been it's been trial and error, but we're doing better, and I'm focusing on doing positive things, good things, taking care of chores and projects that have been sitting there forever. And so that helps me focus my mind and keep active. One thing we never fell into, and I know of some folks who do, we never ever did not get up, shower, dress, you know, get a routine going, get up. Tony's been doing his moving and exercising in the house and stuff like that. I have been doing the same thing. We never reached that point, which is good, because that's, I know of some folks who did, and it's just, you know, it's not healthy. As soon as you hear it, you never want to do that. My mother actually tried to do that one day, and I told her, I said, if you're not dressed, I'm coming over there and you're getting dressed. So, you know, it just, you have to try to force yourself sometimes to move beyond what's going on.
Yes, Marianne, thank you for sharing that. You know, one of the things that you brought up was the goal. That I have found to be super important in dealing with some of the mental health situations or issues is setting goals for yourself. And, you know, Marianne did set a goal. I know working with her that she, you know, ran a half marathon. I've never ran marathon, much less a half marathon, none of that. And she's not only done it once, but she's done it twice. Okay. So, you know, setting those goals is super important because we get our brain honed in, focused on something that we want to accomplish. And it allows some of the outsiders, the outliners, whatever they may be, people, things, chores, responsibilities, to kind of lay where they need to and keep you honed in on what your goals are. And so it does help with certain situations. I know, in terms of, as an example, like Marianne shared with, you know, having, you know, dealing with stress and eating, you know, dealing with stress and drinking, dealing with stress, I mean, and binging, you know, in terms of TV. So It can be lots of things, but when we set ourselves on a goal, like my goal is to do 20 minutes of exercise a day, or my goal is to learn a new language. Those are things that help the brain connect and focus so that it doesn't allow ourselves to just kind of gravitate to some of our habits that are not necessarily the best for ourselves. And it's challenging. Some are, much more challenging to manage than others. And alcohol is a big one. I know that with the pandemic, that there were quite a few individuals that indulge in alcohol way more than they normally have, and that is can be a slippery slope. So, it's finding things, a goal, to focus on to help you stay on track and deter you from those things that can just get out of control for anyone. For anyone. And the other thing with the goal is, I had it on my list of my notes over here, was setting the goal. Um, I lost my train of thought on that one. Oh, was learning a new skill, other than possibly learning a new language. I have a client who, just like Marianne mentioned, that loves to travel and loves to travel abroad and do, the cruises. Well, that obviously it's not an option. So she has taken up cooking, and she's obsessed with it now. She's online looking up recipes. She's gluten free, so she there's even more of a chore to find different recipes for either treats, desserts, or meals. So she is finding joy in that. So there's different things for everybody, but once again it comes back to the individual. Do you value yourself to recognize that, hey, something's not right, I don't feel good energy, I feel stressed, whatever the case may be, and then how do I manage it rather than just ignoring it and focusing on everything and everybody else. And so having that awareness, self-awareness, is number one. Charlene said it, you said it, Cindy, Marianne said it. It's like, hey, check into yourself. Where are we at? What do we need to do? How do we need to resolve it or look for resources to help us deal with it? Thank you, Marianne. Anything else from anyone? I don't want to take up this whole thing, this whole time. You have something, Marianne?
Yeah, I just want to say, I think for our generation, we weren't raised to think about ourselves. That wasn't considered proper or appropriate. It wasn't I'm, taking care of me. You were told that was, vain, and you didn't do that kind of thing. And I think that makes it difficult for people in our generation, because today it's completely different. But back then it just wasn't right. And I still feel funny when I do something for myself or look in the mirror and say, wow, I look nice, and I should take a picture of myself. And then I think, no, that's not proper to do that. And it just, I don't know. That's how I was raised anyway. I just don't think as a generation, we really thought about taking care of ourselves in that way.
Good point. Very good point. I think that is a valid point. How you were raised, generation, time, and I think that does have a play into it for sure. Then I feel that, like for you, Marianne, you may feel like that, but yet you do recognize that, taking care of yourself is not a bad thing. In fact, it's a very good thing. So you're able to recognize that, hey, this is kind of not the norm, but you know what? It's a good thing, it's a positive thing, and let me move forward and do it. And you still proceed with it. You still take care of yourself. You don't not do it because it's not the way you were raised. So, but good point, very good point. Another thing I want to say that has helped individuals deal with different types of mental health issues or stresses is doing volunteer work. And the opposite of what we were talking about so much was, ourselves. Um, it can get to the point where that's our fault, where we're so consumed with ourselves that, we don't give of ourselves to others. And I have found I do volunteer work in several ways. I have since I was in high school, here and there, definitely doing volunteer work at some point in time with some organization. And it is immensely fulfilling and humbling, and it's a really good opportunity for someone who does struggle with certain things, specifically, to give of themselves. It allows them to come out of, whatever it is they're in at that time, and see how others are living, what others are doing, how they can give benefit to others by sharing time, by their expertise, by their knowledge, whatever the case may be. Is invaluable. So, volunteering, I used to walk dogs at the shelter when I was living in Fort Worth. I would volunteer for the museum here in San Antonio when I was in high school. So different things. But the key here is, again, is what you enjoy and what you like. And there are ways to give of yourself and of your time. But going back to what Cindy said, we don't want to overdo that either, because then we're like, oh, I got to volunteer, I got to do this, and it becomes part of the things that we don't want in terms of feeling stressed and overwhelmed. So that balance, right? We're trying to balance it, and we can. But the bottom line is we're not perfect. And one day at a time, taking one day at a time, and finding what works, finding what doesn't work, and being good to ourselves within all of that, because that is definitely, what is key. That's what we want. That's what we desire. Go for it, June.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I'm so glad you brought that up, because um, I'm somebody that wants to help others. And during the pandemic, it's like, I can't do anything. I don't want to, you know, worry others by being close to them or anything. And so Saturday, I actually got to go remove wreaths from Fort Sam Cemetery. And it made me feel so good, because I was out in the open, not near anybody, but I was actually able to do something. And a friend of mine had been doing peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like 100 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the homeless. And, I wish I had gotten in on that. I do go help down, it's called Under the Bridge, every third Sunday, and just help out there. But, if anybody knows of any things, I just saw where you said something about walking dogs. Maybe I could find, I want to do something, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what you're saying, is that, I want, maybe I'm trying to get away from myself. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I go for it, Cindy.
You live here at Hill Country Retreat, right?
Mhm.
So I think on the portal, what if there's people who are housebound and maybe they're ordering their groceries, but if you personally went to HEB for them, you'd pick out the better cucumber or steak or whatever they want. I don't know, there may be something on the portal about doing for people in our neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
During the pandemic, especially.
Something like that.
But there's a lot of people who aren't as healthy as all of us.
I know. That would be good to help out someone.
Good suggestion, Cindy. And what we're doing right now, believe it or not, some people don't have that social connection. Yeah, we're not in front of each other. We're not. But we're communicating with someone who's outside of our home. We're still in a safe environment. We don't have to worry about that. And we're communicating. And it's like I tell my husband, he actually has to physically go out to work. So, he's like, you're home all the time. I said, yes, I am, but I'm constantly communicating with individuals. I'm constantly communicating with people. And although I'm not in front of them, it's like I am. And I mean, if I didn't have this and I was just working from home and didn't have the interactions that I had with everyone, okay, that would be completely different. And that takes me into Pat, who was not able to join us today. She sent me an email, and she said that her and her husband moved to the Hill Country Retreat, specifically for the social aspects of it, the clubs, the fitness, they enjoy that. And since the pandemic, she said, it's been very challenging. The isolation, the depression of not having that interaction with individuals has really, had an impact on her specifically. So, this situation, yes, very not the norm to have, live through a pandemic, but nonetheless, we do have resources. We do have people out there like June looking for opportunities to bring some connection to someone. It's out there. And, we just have to continue to communicate, plug in with one another, share our thoughts, share our stories, share our ideas, and, continue to live these lives that are full, 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 full. And when I say full, it doesn't mean just all happy. It just doesn't. It means there's emotions. There's a lot of emotions that we live, and that's healthy because we learn to manage those emotions, and that takes our mental, our emotion, our physical strength to do that, and that's healthy. Working out, and when I was thinking about this topic, I thought, well, everyone that is going to log in, I know physically, they're very fit. They have great habits. And I thought, okay, well, mentally doesn't mean that that's the same. It doesn't. So there could be some aspects of all of our lives that we look into that, how can we improve? How can we do better? How can we share? Or are we good? And this is great. I just want to learn how to maintain this. That could be the case as well. Any other thoughts or input? Okay, let me look at my list because we talked about talking to volunteering, the meditation, and there are great resources. I looked online. There is the National Institute of Mental Health. On that website, there's actually some tests that you can take. If you feel as though, you're kind of concerned about certain situations, you can take certain tests about, depression or anxiety. Another resource are these brain games. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they're apps on your phone that you can download. One of them is called 7 Little Words. And, it's it's challenging, but it does get that brain going, the brain and the eyes and the connecting the hands. And so there's a lot going on there, but it does help our brain to stay connected, stay thinking, stay working. Okay. So there are some pretty neat apps out there. There's way more than the one I share with you guys. If you have any suggestions or recommendations for that, please share. And with that, today our giveaway is the Norwex scrub on this side and wipe on this side. Now, these are used for for me, I use in the shower. Okay, can soap scrum, all of that. And it's antibacterial, so when it has a back lock in it, so when it dries, it does not stink or smell or anything like that. It dries and you can reuse it again and again. Okay, and you can put your little hand through the little mitt like that. Very awesome, very cool. So 1 to 100, 1 to 100. Marianne, let's see what you got.
22.
Oh my gosh, Marianne. Charlene. Wait, where I see lots of numbers. I see too many numbers. Oh, there it is. There it is, 51. Thank you. June, what do you got?
83.
Ooh, 83. Interesting number. And Cindy.
13.
13. All righty. Total 20. Marianne. Yes. I figured I'd just use today's date. Why not? The 20th. That was my inspiration. Yeah. Pretty much straightforward. Thank you guys. Next week, our topic is, let me pull it up because I want to make sure I say it properly because I want to explain it just a smidge. It is, let me pull, hold on. I know I have this big buildup. It is holistic health, okay? And we're going to talk about alternative healing therapies. And what that is, a plethora. Aromatherapy, acupuncture, light therapy. There's a lot going on in that holistic health. Herbal therapies. And so if you're not too familiar, join in, listen in. If you want to share some of what your experience has been, I'm looking forward to it, you guys. Y'all have a good afternoon. Thank you so much for your input, guys. Bye.